What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Chart Request Live. Happy Thursday. My name is Patrick Dunawilla. I'm the editor of the Chart Report. Joining me today, Sam Gatlin. How you doing, Sam?
I'm good, Patrick. Happy Thursday.
Oh, thank you, thank you. What do you think of the market this week? It's cooling off a little bit.
It's
Last
been
time I
cooling off,
checked, down like
which is
60 basis
to be
points.
expected, right? Like, given this run we've had, we're seeing some backing and filling, some digestion of short-term gains. What really has my attention is this US dollar index. It's been on
Man,
a
it just
tear since Trump was elected.
doesn't quit, right?
It doesn't quit, can't stop, won't stop. But it has gotten back to the shelf of former highs where we rolled over in Q4 last year and we rolled over this year as well. We have a nice long upper shadow on this chart. So I'm thinking it could be time to get short dollars. And if you're doing that, risk assets are probably killing it like they have been.
Yeah, the dollar's been an interesting one because, as relentless as it's been, hasn't caused much problems, has it?
No.
I mean, other than like gold pulling back a little bit, but that one was well overdue, right?
Totally. Yeah, and if you look at, like, if we're reading the tape here, you can see gold putting in kind of the opposite candle of what we're seeing in that Dixie chart. You have that
Interesting.
long lower shadow on the gold, and then you have the long upper shadow on the dollar.
Yeah, very interesting. Yeah, gold just gotten pummeled since the election. I mean, it looks like it's had one day of reprieve there, but other than that, but that is an interesting relationship there. You're seeing the dollar with a big upper wick, and then at the same time, gold with a big lower shadow. But
Totally.
anyway, let's get right to it because I know we have a packed mailbag today. Let's start on off with Tesla. This one
Yeah.
comes from Rubier. He wants some support and resistance levels. He says he's in at 165. So how would you play this one? How would you manage risk on this one? Because clearly he's already seeing a nice profit, right?
Sure. Yeah, and just looking at the daily candles here before we zoom out, like this looks like a textbook high and tight bull flag gearing up for a fresh leg higher,
It sure
continuing
does.
this uptrend. But let's zoom out and look at more of the structural trend here in Tesla. So
I think you're doing the
love,
right thing.
yeah, I love to zoom out on this chart because just boy, what an uptrend here.
Go all the way out. Let's see it since its IPO.
Yeah, sure.
There we go.
So it has a history of consolidating for several years, really tight, and then
And
just
if you're not in it for
exploding high.
those, 10 months that it's ripping or whatever, you might as well not own it, right?
Right. Yeah. So it's getting the timing right with Tesla. That's tricky. And what I really like to use is this monthly MACD shown in this upper pane here, and it's kind of
What are you
difficult
looking
to
for on the
see.
MACD?
I'm sorry.
Are you looking for just a crossover?
Yeah, I'm just looking for a crossover, and it pretty much nailed the buy signal last time with Tesla. You got a pretty good sell signal. You sold in April 2022, very close to the top, and you've been out of it since then. And right now, you're getting a buy signal. Nailed it in September. It's been pretty much up only since then. So I think the path of least resistance is shifting higher for this one.
Yeah, and it's kind
So
of coming
let's
out of I mean, it's been consolidating really since the pandemic, right?
Right, totally. And so, where do we own this one? It was like 165?
165. Yeah, let's hear
65.
some support and resistance.
Okay, so we have a fib retracement around, doesn't it come in around 300? I should know this one. Yeah, 61.8 comes in around 300. So I think you could jam a stop there at 300. You don't want to see Tesla lose 300 now. You want this one to keep climbing higher towards that former all-time high. And we are betting on this one breaking out, I think. If you've held it since 165, I think you want that breakout too. You don't want to just sell it at 400. So once we get to 400, I think it digests its gains there for several weeks or something like that. Who knows? But I think after that, you get a breakout towards 600. I think this could happen faster than most expect. We were looking at how it moved historically, and it just has huge runs over short time frames.
Yeah, when it goes, it goes. Yeah. Let's move on to PRCT.
Okay.
This is Procept Biorobotics Corporation.
Yeah. Okay, so we're looking at a $5 billion medical specialty stock.
And time frame 6 months on this
6
one.
months? Cool. I think that's great for a pattern like this. So you're coming off of all-time highs here. You also hit a Fibonacci extension level.
And the stock's been responding to those too.
Yes, love to see that. The market is respecting our Fibonacci levels. So we want to bet on them continuing to respect these levels. So I think the trade here is to buy on strength, if you're not already in, which it sounds like we're not. So 96.5 is that Fibonacci extension level. If you're wanting to jump it, I think you could, well, first, so the trade is 96.5 and then a target of 141. So that's what we're trying to do here. But if you're wanting to jump the entry and not wait for it to get back above this extension level, then I think you could drop a WAP and maybe it settles out around here and then you get strength around here, like 94 bucks. That's kind of the way I see it. But I think you want to let this one correct for a few more days before thinking about buying it. Buy strength after the dip is how I learned it, Patrick.
Yeah, it's kind of in no man's land, right?
Yeah,
it is. After a move like this, kind of gotta be patient, right?
Right.
Wait for it to set up again.
Right.
So let's move on to Root. This one's
Cool.
an insurance stock.
This one is crazy.
Yeah, this has an interesting look to it. Why do you call it crazy? Just because of the move off the lows?
Well, yeah.
Maybe it's the fact that it went, it's up 2,400% in a year and a half.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm referring to.
Yeah.
But man, this one has been great. So I think this one is involved with like some property insurance. Is that right?
I can check.
I think there's some pretty aggressive short interest here too.
I can also.
Or maybe that's already been unwound.
Extinguished. Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of looks that way.
10.3% short interest. That's not bad.
Yeah. Still something. So let's keep these extensions. So these retracements are going to be our targets. So 206 should be respected by the market, and so should 331. But I think you want to take this one back to the old all-time highs and maybe even higher. So this, I think, is it lends itself to a longer time frame, something like 6 to 12 months. If you're interested in trading it like that, then I would buy it on strength above this shelf of highs. So let's call it $88 is our line in the sand. We only want this one on strength above there. But from there, I think it could have a pretty explosive rally again. Like you had this multi-month consolidation here, and then I think you got more than a double out of this range. Yeah, well more than that, 1,000%. So it wouldn't at all surprise me to see a similar reaction from this consolidation.
Yeah, and if you use the fib base scale for your Fibonacci levels there, that 76 level, right where it is now, I mean, it comes right in at the 61.8.
So you're talking about
all the way down.
Fibbing it based on percentages instead of price.
And with something like this that probably dropped 99%, that's probably appropriate to use that.
Sure, it just reiterates what we were saying earlier. Like, we really wanted above this level. This is important to us. But from there, path of least resistance is former all-time highs, which is
I think you're correct.
Away.
you're correct to shoot for the all-time highs on that one.
Yeah, and it's like
Here's-
600% away, which sounds
I know.
crazy, but
You know what? In a bull market, you got to use your imagination a little bit, right?
totally.
All right, let's move on to BTBT. This one comes from Donovan. This one is an interesting one. I wrote about this one last week. Crypto miner.
Yes,
Had a
and
nice
they're
breakout.
involved with Ethereum, aren't they? It's not
Yeah,
just
had a nice
Bitcoin.
move earlier in the week. Monday, I think it's between Monday and Tuesday, it was up at least 25, maybe even 30%, but then gave it all back.
It's a great looking chart. It definitely stands out versus its peers in the Bitcoin mining industry. Like I think that's how we should start this conversation is benchmarking it to WGMI. So this is the benchmark for a Bitcoin mining stock, and it's not great. You know, we are trying to break out of this downtrend here, and we're kind of dealing with this shelf of overhead supply. But new highs here would be indicative of a new leg higher, which would likely take us above here, somewhere into this range. So I think this one is gearing up for a big move against its peers for sure. On absolute terms, looks really good too.
What's wild is, it's down like 18% in the past 2 days, but it's still up 5% on the week.
Yeah. This one's a wild child for sure.
It sure is, yeah. I mean, it's a $4.50 stock, so.
Right. I think you need to position size accordingly. Treat this one like what it is. It's a speculative Bitcoin mining stock, so it can move adversely against you in a hurry, and can also trend higher really powerfully too. So, Patrick, what do you think is your first target with this one?
Oh, man.
I know we really want it above these highs here, like we are right now, like 450, I think is
I think
level of trade
1350. 1350 would be a good level to shoot for. I mean, ultimately, I think you want to play this one back to all-time highs. If this is a true crypto cycle and all that, shouldn't it be at all-time highs? I mean, but I think 1350 would be a good place to kind of take some risk off the table, move your stop up, reevaluate.
Totally.
You see, it was like the 2019 high, and then it came into play again in 2021.
Yeah, no, that's a big level. I agree with that. But from there, you want the all-time highs, right?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Like I said, imagination, right?
Seriously, and look at how this one trends too. Kind of like what we were talking about earlier with Tesla. It just consolidates for a long period of time, and then it just explodes in short periods of time. It does it to the downside too, clearly.
Yeah.
What else do we have, Patrick?
All right, let's move on to Broadcom, AVGO.
Okay. So is Broadcom a trillion?
It's probably pretty darn close, right?
Yeah, okay. $800 billion. So
Yeah, this one, I think of Broadcom as like NVIDIA's little brother or something, because if you remember back in May 2023, when NVIDIA first broke out, Broadcom answered the week after with an even bigger move in terms of percentage. Wasn't as big in terms of market cap, so it didn't, get the spotlight as much, but it does kind of seem to follow NVIDIA's footsteps a little bit,
Totally. So when was that? That was Q2 of 2023.
Yep.
And so that must have been on the NVIDIA news, excuse me, Freudian slip.
Well, so I think Broadcom released earnings like the week after NVIDIA.
Yeah.
NVIDIA's big report, the one where they just broke out to all-time highs.
Gotcha. Sick chart. That's a great one. So,
what do you think? Is this a double top, Sam?
I think the odds favor this one continuing to trend higher. It certainly could be a double top, but I don't think that's the likely outcome. I think this one continues to trend higher towards this next extension level, around 220. So you have about 50 points of upside, or if we want to talk percentage terms, you have something like 20%, 25%. But
bad.
not bad for an $800 billion company. It's
Right,
not,
right. Even
not
if you
something
don't
that's
own
going to
this
double
one,
overnight.
yeah, even if you don't own this one, you probably own SPY or
Right,
something tied to it. So,
right.
seeing as it's what, like the probably ninth largest stock or eighth largest, something up there.
Yeah, it's up
Um,
there. I think
right.
this really stands out too, Patrick. This weekly RSI really has been deteriorating since that early 2023 report.
I don't know what's going on with semis, but they got to get their act together. Especially if you strip out NVIDIA and then look at the semis, it's just like nothing special. You would have no idea we were in an AI bull market. But anyway, let's move on to TLT. I want to get to the chat soon. We got
Totally.
some.
On that note of semis struggling, I think
Yeah,
this speaks to that. Semis benchmarked to the S&P 500.
yeah. There we go.
Head
Look at
and
that.
shoulders here, so
I know.
keep that in mind. And what did you say?
And it had formed that head and shoulders before, and it looked like it was failing, and then now it's looking questionable again. So,
Yep,
um, it's right shouldering, as Steve and I like to say. But anyway, let's look at TLT,
that's right. Okay.
the bonds.
So 20 plus years, and the momentum has failed to register an overbought
What
reading.
momentum?
The momentum is to the downside over longer time frames. I think if you're wanting to buy TLT, it's over a very short time frame. You're looking for a counter trend move, kind of like these have been nice counter trend moves. Those have been great trades. If you bought some like TLT calls, you know, you crushed it during these times. So I think if you're wanting to trade this, that is the bet you want to make. We're gonna have another one of those rallies, and I think you want to see it reclaim 94 and a quarter. That VWAP anchored to this pivot high. I think that would mark the beginning of a fresh leg higher, and would probably lead towards this 100 level. I think this momentum is looking good here as well. It's just kind of been consolidating here, not registering any more oversold readings. What does that say to you, Patrick?
Yeah, I mean,
going down.
it does look like it's due for some sort of short-term bounce, whether that's the last one or not. If you zoom out, it does look like it's forming a bottom, but like a really sloppy, messy, slow bottom. This thing could continue to be unimpressive for another 3 to 6 months, right?
Totally, and that's what it is. It's a bottoming process, and those tend to be very range bound, messy,
frustrating,
not conducive to trend following.
It's getting going, and then it doesn't. It's like the 2 steps forward, 1 step back kind of thing.
Exactly.
So let's. You ready to move on?
Totally. Yeah.
All right. Let's do Frontdoor, FTDR. This one's a consumer discretionary.
So what do they do?
Frontdoor, I think I should know this.
$4 billion company. Provision of home service plans. That's kind of cool. I'm interested. Let's check it out.
I'll check it out while you're charting it out.
Yeah, so here we are running into the former cycle highs. Around 58.5, I think, is what the market is telling us is the level. We're not above there now. We are acknowledging those former highs, kind of correcting. I think it'll take some time around here to consolidate before making a fresh leg higher to new all-time highs. But I think this one has new all-time highs written all over it. It's just going to be a matter of time before you get that breakout. So I think you just need to be patient until then. But you can definitely buy it on strength above 58. You can call it 59 if you want to be conservative. Above 59, you're looking for 83.5 from there. So that would be a 42% move. Not bad. Not bad at all.
Not bad at all. It is definitely setting up for something nice. whether it builds out a handle at those former highs there, or that's got to be determined, but we'll see.
Totally.
Let's
And this weekly RSI kind of is why I'm thinking it needs time to consolidate here. It's been uninspiring. It's kind of fallen off here recently. So I think be patient with this one, but it's trending higher for sure.
Yeah. Let's move on to SGHC. This one looks like it's a gambling play.
Super cool.
Online sports betting and gaming operator.
I've never seen this one. So $2.5 billion stock.
It looks a lot like a lot of other speculative growth ARC names type thing. I don't think this is an ARC name, but
it has that look.
Looks like it could be in there, right?
Right. So this one is from the UK. So if you are needing exposure to British sports betting, this one should get you done. I think you want it above this VWAP anchored to the November 2021 peak, the all-time high in this stock, and it looks like we are coiling super high and tight right here, coiling right below this
coinciding right at those former highs too.
Yep. Textbook high and tight flag there. I think this one gets the job done. It's not far away. Could be any day now, really. And that is your level. And from there, I think this $7 level will be acknowledged by the market. And maybe you
that's
consolidate there.
Makes sense.
Yep.
Makes a lot of sense.
And from there, it's all-time highs. That's kind of like what we're talking about today a lot, Patrick, is primary trend reversal. You want all-time highs. That's what we're seeing in this market.
I mentioned like it looks a lot like other speculative growth. In the chat here, Mark Zerby asked about Square. This one looks kind of similar, right? Or, I mean, Square investors hope that it resolves like SGHC did.
Totally. Yep. It's the exact same setup. I think you can even drop the WAP and it would give you a similar signal as what we were just looking at. I already have the WAP dropped.
Right there.
Boom. Beautiful. And this one is a very similar structure in that rounding bottom formation. So I think very similar vehicles and SGHC and Square. The block, I guess you have to call it the block now. But 51, almost $52 billion in market cap here.
Yeah, a lot of these fintech companies are really positioning themselves for crypto future, right?
Right.
Square rebranding to Block, that was kind of, along those lines.
Right. I think 134 or 135 and 194 are levels to watch.
And
Square works
look
to
at
the
price
upside.
memory around those levels too, right? The 134 was those bear market rally highs. And then the 193, that was support, clearly, until it broke in 2021 there.
Totally. The market is telling us these are important levels and we should be watching them in the future. So I think this is a good roadmap if you're bullish Block.
All right, let's look at HUT, another miner.
Back to the Bitcoin miners.
Back to the Bitcoin miners.
So this is a very similar look to what we were seeing earlier.
Looks better than some of the other ones.
Yeah. So we were looking at BTBT earlier. So let's look at HUT benchmarked to that. And it looked like HUT has been the winner recently. Yeah. So we like HUT more than BTBT.
Yeah.
And I already have a line on my chart. How convenient, because that is exactly what I'm looking at again.
We playing this one to the 2021 highs?
Yep, that's the same playbook. Is you want it above this pivot high from the summer of 2023. Let's call it $20, a nice round number. I think that'll get you done. If HUT is above $20, I think that'll get you to 33. It'll get you to the old all-time highs, $82.
All right.
So let's see.
Let's take a look at ETH.
ETH, okay. It's been a long time since we've charted
They're
that.
asking 5,000 before the end of the year. Is it possible, Sam? Is it possible?
That's a short time frame. I'm gonna say no. But by the new year, I think it's totally possible.
Did it ever get to 5,000 last time?
No.
It topped out right before.
No, it was 48.67.
Wow.
That's where it peaked. Very close to there. So what's the move with Ethereum right now?
Been a
above
real
this VWAP.
disappointment this cycle.
It has been a real disappointment. I think we need to look
up a little this past week, but what hasn't, right?
Let's look at ETH benchmarked to Bitcoin. It's making new cycle lows today as Bitcoin's making new all-time highs. These meme coins are mooning. Things seem to be picking up for crypto, but Ethereum still in the penalty box. Will it ever get it figured out, Patrick?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure, Sam. And you know, last cycle we were talking about the flippening. Is ETH gonna ever flip Bitcoin? That looks like a pipe dream at this point.
Yep.
And there's so many other coins showing momentum, even dog coins, right? Even the Shiba Inu and Doge and Pepe, whatever. There's just so many alternatives that are actually showing strength. So
totally. But I think this one is trending in the right direction. You just registered the first overbought momentum reading on the daily RSI since May. So it's been a long time.
I like how it's responding to that VWAP there.
Me too, totally. We're just bull flagging on top of the VWAP anchored to this pivot high, which is the same pivot high we've been anchoring to for Bitcoin. We've been wanting to trade Bitcoin above the VWAP anchored to that all-time high. That was a great game plan for jumping an entry for this breakout to new all-time highs. I think that's the game plan here too, is you want it above this pivot high VWAP and you want to trade it to new all-time highs. And who knows if we get ETH 5K before Christmas. I don't know if that'll happen, but I think it's coming soon.
I like it. Jonathan asked about ITA, the Aerospace and Defense ETF. Aerospace and Defense really picking up on a relative basis too, if you check that out. But you wanted some projections. I have my fib at 160 for this one, but what do you see?
Sure. Let's look at it benchmark to the SPY, like you said at the top there. And
I might have been thinking
XAR
here for this one. For
sorry?
relative base. I might have been thinking XAR, the equal weight aerospace and defense for the relative basis, but
what does that look like?
I think that okay, you're benchmarking against RSP.
This is equally weighted aerospace and defense, right?
Yeah.
Versus the equally weighted S&P 500. Now this looks pretty interesting.
SPY, but I mean, yeah, similar.
So benchmarked versus the SPY, XAR is, yeah, similar story. Range bound there, trying to put the finishing touches on a bearish to bullish reversal versus the broader market and take on a new leadership role. So if we're looking at
we're looking for targets. Sounds like you might be long already.
Sure. Let's see. So what I would do here is drop a fib from this peak in February 2020 to that trough in March 2020. Is this how you would do it, Patrick?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's the exact fib I have there too, 160.
Cool. And I think it would be responsible to check out these fib levels as well. which also come in the 160s. So that
Oh, there you
160s
go.
area is going to be a big one for ITA.
Don't you like that?
I love that.
You got two good reasons. Fibonacci's giving you two good reasons to take your profits there.
For sure. And this has been a leadership group during this bull market, along with industrials. They've been very, very strong, breaking out to new all-time highs before a lot of areas of the market. But it could be time to rotate out of it soon as we run into that 160 level.
So let's look at another crypto here. Billy USDT.
What is it, USDT?
Billy, BILLY USDT. Oh, okay, never mind.
Now, which exchange do I look at?
Just type in the ratio. Billy
USDT.
/USDT.
Right.
Yeah. Nothing.
Here it is.
There
All
you
right.
go.
So this is looking nice. You ICO'd and had a nice little drawdown there. You fell, let's see, 90, like 94%. Since then, you've stabilized and you've carved out a nice looking bottom here. I'll draw some arcs. This is how I'm seeing it. And then you came here and made a higher low on the Billy. And now you're making new highs. So I think the path of least resistance has shifted from sideways to higher. We're gunning for this former range high around 20 cents. 20 to 25 cents, I think, is your target for the Billy. But it looks great. New all-time high for that RSI. Really strong momentum behind this one. Plus meme coins have been the best place to be in crypto for some time now. I don't see that changing anytime soon.
So let's look at two more. Let's stay on crypto for a second and let's look at MSTR, and then we'll end with Palantir. Some targets on Palantir because Palantir is kind of at its target here. So
same for MSTR. I already have it drawn here. So I drew the top of my fib at the February 2021 peak to that May 2022 trough. And as you can see, we really acknowledged that first extension level and consolidated there for several months before resolving higher to this next extension level. So it wouldn't at all be a surprise to see MicroStrategy consolidate here for some time. But of course, this is a Bitcoin derivative. So
right, it's going to do Bitcoin is down.
I think look at Bitcoin if you're curious where MicroStrategy is going to go. But let's look at Palantir next.
Yeah.
All right, I guess above 325, you're looking for a $500 roll on that MicroStrategy. So if you can get back above there, you got 50% upside in MicroStrategy. Palantir,
everyone's new favorite stock.
So I think the move is to not draw your fibs from the absolute peak to trough. I think the better move is to look at a line chart.
This one's been a weird one because of how extreme that reversal was at its former highs there.
Right, yeah. So I don't really see much volume up there. So I think it makes more sense to anchor to the closing prices. And it looks to me like we're taking out that first extension level of 53.5. Above 53.5, the next objective is 82.5. So it's just going to keep grinding higher. I think this one could end up hitting $100 this cycle. But who knows? This one has some serious momentum behind it. I think it will continue to win. No reason to fade this one.
And that's why we like big bases, right?
Yeah, love big bases.
All right, well, Sam, what was your favorite chart today?
Oh boy, we finished with some really strong ones here. Palantir and MicroStrategy hitting their first targets. Those have been some of the biggest winners in the market. I think you're going to get really good buying opportunities in the context of ongoing uptrends. So those are my favorite charts. What about you?
We had a few good ones. I think I like the root. The root was a good one right
Yeah,
there at the 61.8. If it's above 76, looks good. And then the Square, obviously. I mean, that one hasn't gone yet. Looked a lot like that front door one. I think I'm thinking of the right one. Um, but Square, I mean, the only thing with Square is everyone's seeing that setup. Everyone. I mean, how many times have you seen that setup this week, right?
right. So I think this leads to a more philosophical conversation of what do you do in this market environment? Patrick, do you look to buy the leaders like MicroStrategy and Palantir, look to buy dips and really strong uptrends, or are you looking for these fresh primary trend reversals?
I think, I mean, you probably want to do a little both, you know? Um, Stick with the leaders, but then also go out on some of these, like maybe some of these speculative growth names that are rebounding, like the Squares of the world and front doors and things like that.
Totally. There's a lot of fresh trend reversals out there, so I
Yeah.
think it would be foolish to ignore them. I think we should at least look at them like this square. Um, but yeah, what do you say
But
we
yeah,
leave it here?
let's leave it here for today. But thank you guys so much for watching. If we didn't get to your ticker, be sure to email us at questions@stockmarketmedia.com and we will get to it on Monday. Sam,
See you all
thank
on Monday. Have a good weekend.
you. Later.